Good afternoon, everyone. This is Albert Whale and Jim Leffler for the Iron City Risk Avengers. On today's podcast, I thought it would be especially useful if we talked about current events, especially when they are more of personal nature. Now, normally personal nature events don't really affect business people as much, but we're going to relate it so that you can understand how this can happen for a business as well. So in today's podcast, we're talking about how I got hacked. That's right. My credit card was used on Target.com for $1,422.52. Jim, what do you think about that? I got hacked.
You got hacked. Yeah. It happens to the best of us.
Not me personally, but somehow or another, they took my debit card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I recently took a trip with my son down to Baltimore, and trust me, I get the whole Ravens-Steelers conflict scenario going on there. But we went down for a medical trip to go see some doctors, specialists at Johns Hopkins Medical Hospital. And I have to say, they took care of business right away. But in the process, we stayed at our Marriott. We're a Marriott family. And they were hacked, right?
Right.
And we also went out to dinner. We definitely know that it's not commonplace to get your credit card stolen at a restaurant, right?
No.
It happens all the time. And we bought gas. Okay, so I didn't see a skimmer on the gas pump, but, it was minus 10 degrees in Baltimore. I mean, honestly,
and
we went
skimmer's
through this
not the first thing on your mind.
No, definitely wasn't. Getting my son home so that he can rest and recuperate from the poking and prodding that they did on his body in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
That was more important. When you get right down to it, I don't know specifically how they got my credit card. But yesterday morning, my wife started to pay some bills, and she looked at me and she said, "Where did all the money go? What did you do with the money in the account?" And, I love my wife dearly, but sometimes they just have to lash out at whoever's closest, right? And it was my fault. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I could have done differently. But we called right away to the bank and canceled my debit card and started to talk to Target. Without knowing exactly what was going on, I was highly annoyed that even though I gave them all my personal information 4 times, they still wanted me to jump through hoops after I was telling them about a fraud event that happened on their computer systems at their website. And to me, it just doesn't make sense how insecure their system is when it comes down to buying things. I mean, essentially, if you could put in somebody's digits, you can buy whatever you want, right?
Right.
So I got a case number, and they couldn't tell me the IP address to the people that were trying to buy the product. But what happened today was even more interesting because I had to go to the bank today to file a dispute. But as it turned out, the money hadn't hit my account yet. It's still in limbo. So we don't have any money in the account because, well, the banking system, the Target system, I don't care. It's somebody's fault. It's not my fault because I didn't design this, or I would have used my technology hammer on it and made it better. Anyway, we don't have the money yet because it hasn't hit our account. Target did say that a reversal or a refund was in process, but that couldn't go through because the money hadn't hit their account to be able to be reversed yet. It really sounds like a snafu. I expect by the end of the week we'll be made whole. But that's an awful long time to wait for over $1,400 for your account. And I can imagine anybody else in this situation wanting to have their money back, right?
Right.
So we have this situation where we've identified a problem and that my card was compromised. And we have a definite process in place for replacing that credit card or that ATM card, as you would call it, a debit card. Now,
Right.
I don't ever use my debit numbers, my PINs, unless I really have to. And in none of my trips recently have I done that. I always use the credit. And there's something to be said about that, too. And if people want to know more, they can reach out to me. My contact information is on the site, or you can just find me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to describe what's going on there. But if you're a business owner and you've gotten hacked, how do you get made whole again?
Right. And Albert, that's a big difference. As an affront to your property and to you and your family personally, as this was, at least there is a process, however arduous it might be, however much paperwork might be involved, you see light at the end of the tunnel. But if you're a business and you get hacked, there's no one saying, okay, here's your money back. And, even with insurers, you're only going to be made partially whole, 9 times out of 10. So, to me, it's the same as when I encounter clients who have suffered occupational fraud. They actually go through the 5 stages of grieving. Denial. I can't believe, no way, she did not do that. She did not set up a ghost employee and rip us off. And then then there's anger, and there's bargaining, and there's depression, acceptance. I mean, it's proven that that's what business owners go through when they suffer an occupational fraud, because it is so personal to them. But now you talk about cyber theft, and now it's a whole new ball game, because this is coming out of nowhere from an actor who doesn't have to rationalize his or her behavior. The occupational fraudster is going to basically say, look, I'm under so much financial pressure, I have to take this money and I'll pay it back. And they cross that red line. But the cyber thief, they look at your business like they look at a mountain, because it's there and because they can. And I don't have to tell you about how quickly they can get in and take all your trade secrets or take all of your money, and it's really scary. And then you're left with
that's the biggest part. If they're taking your trade secrets, how long is it going to be until you've identified that something bad has happened? Is it when the business closes? Or is it when all of your clients go to someone else and then, of course, the business closes? Right. Or, all of your clients have had their personal information stolen and the only correlation is you? We're talking months, right? This is not something that you can identify on a website easily like we did.
Right.
And that's my point. When you get right down to business security, it's something totally different than having your credit card stolen. And while I might poke a little bit of fun about being hacked, it's a violating feeling having somebody take your personal information and use it for their gain. How did they get it? I don't know. What are they going to do with it? I don't know, and I don't care. Right. Getting a card to use after I can get money back in my account, that's how I get made whole. But if you're a business owner, it's very hard to get made whole again. And that's why we are on a mission from God, I might add, with the Iron City Risk Avengers podcast. We're down to 30 seconds. Can you believe how time flies, Jim?
I know. Unbelievable.
Do you have any last-minute words?
Only to be watchful, to educate yourself and your employees on how easily cyber theft can happen. And with that, I'd like just to say the information discussed in this podcast is presented for informational purposes only. It is not intended as, nor does it constitute, specific information security or accounting advice and should not be acted upon as such.
Well, that's a wrap for the first podcast in February of 2019. I want to thank my co-host, Jim Leffler, and I myself, Albert Whale. We're signing off today. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Albert. Bye, everyone.
Talk to you soon.